Welcome to this session on the French e-invoicing mandate. And I see if you are a software vendor or an ERP integrator or an enterprise looking to make your financial systems compliant in France, you are in the right place. So the French reform is no longer a distant deadline. We are officially just 4 weeks away from the rollout, the 1st September. And at Storecove, we believe, we are convinced that this reform is not just a compliance hurdle, it's also for our customer a real opportunity to scale your business from all point of view, and also internationally. So to keep things actionable today, we will split this session in 2 parts. So the first part with Lucien, which is our host today. Lucien is independent consultant, expert on this reform. He has been working for many years at the French tax authorities. So he will walk us through this reform and give some insights for you to know what you need to know about this reform. And he will make at the end a special focus on for businesses operating in France from abroad, meaning that even if you do not have a company or an entity in France, it doesn't mean that you are not concerned by this reform, but we will see that afterwards. From my part, so sorry, I didn't present myself. I'm Maxime. I'm the Business Development Director of Storecove for France. I will explain the challenges for software to become compliant, and how our API first approach can simplify the compliance and help you and at least leverage it for building a resilient and global e-invoicing infrastructure on the long run. Okay, and then at the end we will finish with a Q&A session, and so do not hesitate to drop your questions in the chat at any point. Okay, so yes, about Storecove, we are, sorry, I didn't introduce Storecove. We are a Dutch company. We operate globally. We are a pure player in invoicing, but we will see that after. We are officially a PA in France, so Plateforme Agréée, meaning that we are authorized by the French government to operate in France. But now I hand over to Lucien. Lucien, it's over to you. Tell me when you want me to change the slide.
Thank you, Maxime, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the French reform, an official timeline. So, as you know, I suppose that every business in France is subject to VAT, and this means that your French users and customers are legally required to comply with the VAT law and requirements. So we have two points, two special dates. The first is for every single company in France, which must be able to receive, of course, e-invoicing in reception. The small, the large, and the mid-side, all the companies have to be in this capability to receive through a PA, because everything will flow through the PAs. And the start is, the big bang is 1st September 26, of course. So in a month, we can say. And then after 1 year, even the small and medium businesses must be able to send also electronic invoices. So that is the official timeline. So next slide. So what is the French model, the what we call the Y model, and why we call that the Y model, in difference, for example, with the V model from Italy? In France, we have this fifth corner, which is the state, we can say, and in fact, we call that the PPF of the DGFIP, of the tax authority, which is this fifth corner. So the first corner, as you know, this scheme comes from the PayPal scheme. The first corner is the seller. The second is the service provider. In France, it's what we call the PA, or before PDP, of the seller. Then you have, of course, the PA or PDP from the buyer, and of course the buyer. The fourth and the fifth point you have here, the fifth corner, is the PPF. So what is important? First, you see that you have in France PayPal authority, which is fulfilled through the DGFIP. And so France will be probably the largest market for PayPal in the world. And you have also direct link point-to-point between the PAs. So the interoperability will work anyway with a priority to PayPal network. And then after you have something special, you see in the back, it's the e-reporting. And this e-reporting is, in fact, the complexity also of the French system, because we want also to collect other things than e-invoicing. So we will see that later. Next slide. So clarify this concept of e-invoicing and versus e-reporting. So the right data strategy, you have to understand that it's not just B2B domestic invoices that you want to collect with the e-reporting, but also a way to track all economic activities. So with the e-reporting, we have this other component, which is important anyway for the VAT return, because one of the objectives in long term is to have a complete VAT return automatically, and something that the tax authority calls a simplification. So the invoicing is nothing special. It's of course electronic invoicing between B2B domestic, so French companies to French company. It means also a foreign company. If you have a permanent establishment in France, or if you have a company in France, you are considered as a French VAT duty company. So here, invoicing will be mandatory. And it means no more longer sending emails with PDF or paper. Okay? And then you have the other hand. On the other hand, you have this e-reporting, and this concerns then the B2C operation, of course. For example, a restaurant which has his customers, B2C, and of course also what we call the B2B international. So you have to make reportings concerning this B2B international. We can go deeper in details, but in fact, these two kind of operation can become a little bit complex, but we can talk about that later. So next slide. So French specific aspect of the reform. First, we have in France this ID number for companies, which is a SIREN number, a 9-digit, and the SIRET. So, for example, the headquarters has a SIREN, and then you have other establishments from the same company, each company will have a SIRET number with 14 digits. So that is a specificity of French. A foreign company which is not established in France has not a SIREN, and not a SIRET, of course. Another specificity is the delivery address country code. So this is very important for the routing and to be clear, to determine the tax rules. Another point is the nature of the type of transaction. So we have to make a distinguish between the sales of goods and, of course, the services. So you can also have some invoice with operation which are mixed. For example, a car reparator can send you an invoice. You will have both selling of goods and services. So this is important also for the rules of VAT, especially for the deduction of the VAT. Another point is that this mention, you have to mention all that on your future invoice. It starts in September next. I would say in more than 1 month, but September, is the option of the VAT. That also, this option for VAT payment on accrual, what we call option pour les débits in French. It means that you will pay the VAT not when you get the payment, but when you issue the invoice, to make it easy. This has to be mentioned on the invoice also. And then, of course, we have another specificity is the payment data. So for the e-reporting, it's something special because we have to track with status, if you want, the payment of the services. So that is also something which is important because it means that operation by operation, you have to, inside the companies, you have to inform the platform about the status of payment of each service, for example. Okay. So next slide. Maxime, thank you.
Yes.
The actors. So the actors are, of course, the PAs, the platforms. I will not talk any longer about that. But what's important is that they have to fulfill a lot of requirements, and they are also under permanent control of the tax authority. The PPF, which is, can say, the state actor, the official central government platform. And then you have what we call in France solution compatible, SC. It's a compatible solution. It means that this actors, before we had a word OD, which means opérateur de dématérialisation, but now we speak about SC because SC has to be able to be connected with the PA. Okay, so they work with the companies. Sometimes there are, for example, editors, software editors, for example, not only software editors, but it's an example, and they want to be solution compatible, and they work then with PAs, or one PA. And of course, last but not least, the DGFIP, of course, which is the General Directorate of Public Finance in French, tax authority. So
Okay,
next
and
slide.
Just before moving to next slide, Lucien, I want to add that when you integrate, if you are a software company working with Storecove, we are the PA, so you become a compatible solution when you integrate.
Yes, that's important. That's very important. And then another slide concerning the managing the invoice life cycle, the status. We had some words just before. You see, you have this mandatory in red status. So of course, on the first step, when you submit an invoice, it will create a status which is mandatory. Then after you have recommended status, which exists, of course, issued by the platform, received by the platform, etc. On the buyer side, for example, the PA of the buyer will say, "I have received the invoice," and then you have this first statute, second statute, mandatory, which is rejected. Okay, rejected. You see at the last one is on the side of the buyer. He can refuse an invoice. The difference is all the rejection are made by the PAs, and the refused one status comes from the company, the buyer. And then you have, of course, the one we had a discussion just before, the payment. The payment is received. So this information is important, because when you say for a service or a deposit, for example, that you get the payment, it means that you are liable to pay of course the VAT, and the buyer is in the right to make the deduction. Okay, and you see this is on the side of the supplier. Okay, something new, because we want to avoid frauds. Sometimes today you can have a buyer which make a deduction on the VAT. They say that it means that theoretically they have paid, but it's not true. It's not true. So that's why you have this information in the field of the supplier. Okay, little detail. Okay, next slide. So France archiving obligation requirements. What you need to know first, evolution. Digital storage rules in France are not new. They began with the early computerized tax audit framework. I think it started 2003, for example, 2003. And then you have, of course, the audit trail. That is what we call in France the reliable audit trail. We call that the piste d'audit fiable. That comes from a European directive, 2010. And in fact, it's very important for each company to archive the business control, of course, and of course for the PA also. By the way, we now have to archive that 10 years. So the retention period legally has been shift from 5 to 10 years. Now it's really 10 years.
Okay, so now I need to update my slide.
Yeah. Between two webinars, there was this new, just very, very new information.
Okay,
So
the use cases. Yeah.
So the use cases, you have also the specificity in France that, of course, each business has his specific cases, rules, and so and so. So with the AFNOR and the work of Cyril Sautreau, president of this commission in the AFNOR, they have standardized 45 use cases for the moment. Some of these use cases are very frequent, others are more seldom, concern some only a few companies. But what is important is that we have something which is standard, and Storecove, of course, is able to deal with all the use cases that we show you. This is 45. So you have a special documentation about that. It can be very long. Some of these use cases are very frequent and evident. So, for example, making a deposit, okay, something frequent, or making what you call a debit note, also something like that. So some are frequent, other are more seldom. And in fact, what is important for each company is, in fact, to be aware about the use case they are concerned. And after, what is important is to get this compliance. We are speaking about compliance. And now we see that this reform acts like a great movement toward compliance. So we can go on next slide. I think you have other use cases.
Yes, I can pass it.
Yeah. So you see, you have, I will not detail all, multi-vendor. For example, barter practice is seldom okay. This is one which is really rare.
Yeah, we don't. Just for information, Storecove covers all the use case except this one, 38 and 39.
Okay.
For the moment, at least.
For the moment, at least. So now something important for foreign companies. It's the e-reporting obligation for non-French businesses. So in fact, you have here an organization chart which tries to summarize, I would say, the situation for these companies, foreign companies, which have not what you call établissement stable, is permanent establishment on the VAT concept. Okay, the VAT concept of permanent establishment is different of the VAT concept for corporate tax, what you call impôt sur les sociétés, bénéfices industriels et commerciaux. For the corporate tax, you have to understand where are the profit taxed in which country. Okay, for the VAT concept of permanent establishment, you have to understand who is liable for the VAT and who is also liable to issue the invoice. Is it the French establishment, VAT establishment, or the foreign company, the headquarter, for example? So here we are speaking about these foreign companies, what we say, sans établissement stable, without permanent establishment. Okay, but you see that in some situation you have to choose a PA because you are in the perimeter of the French reform, and in some cases you are not in the perimeter. For example, here the first one, which is an evidence, is if you are not VAT duty, of course, in France, no, you have no requirements. If you are VAT duty, you can have situation with or without. Okay, you can go deeper in that, but the best is to follow some examples. So the first example is an operation submitted to e-reporting. We take an example of our friends, Belgian friends, a Belgish company established, of course, in Belgium, without permanent establishment in France. They sell toys from France to individual domiciled in France. So something like a B2C, okay? So the company is subjected and liable for VAT. It will be subject the transaction e-reporting obligation, transmission of transaction data to the administration via a PA, approved, accredited, I would say, platform. Okay, and that starts in September. So that is an example which you see. You have a company which is not has no in France, no establishment, but they buy, for example, toys in France, and they sell them to France, or even they sell them to France, to French non VAT duty person, and you have to make an e-reporting. Maybe the next slide we have maybe other examples.
We have two other examples.
Two other examples. So I will just a little bit scroll here to see better. Okay, here what we can say is, in this situation, we have an example with a mixed example. For the same company, you have operation carry out with no reporting obligation, and another situation when you change a little parameter, you have e-reporting. So a company established in Ireland without a permanent establishment in France and with a French VAT number is a tenant of premises in France that it rents out to company established in France for commercial purposes. For this rental operation, okay, the company established in Ireland will not have a reporting, e-reporting obligation, okay? As the person liable for the VAT due is the rentals in the company established in France. So you have something like a reverse charge system, on this service, okay? So the VAT duty is the French company which hires the car, okay? Now another situation, to carry out the cleaning of the rented premises, okay, for example, a car, the company established in Ireland used a Finnish company non-established in France. For this transaction, so the company established in Ireland is subjected to and liable for the VAT reverse charge. Therefore, this Irish company will be subject to transaction e-reporting for the operation. And that starts then in September 27, because there was a delay for that. They have created a delay for this reporting. You will have to choose, therefore, a PA in France starting September 27. So in fact, what you can see is that when you have something like we call intra-community, Finland is also in Europe, intra-community service acquisition, okay, makes for the Irish company, they have in France, they have a transaction to report, because they have to make a reverse charge on a VAT return. They have to put the amount of this invoice, for example, without VAT, and then they have to tax it in France, and to make the deduction also in France. So they are under this obligation, and therefore they have to choose a PA. Yeah. So another example is a transaction with e-reporting. You have a large company, enterprise not established in France, but VAT registered, okay, and they provide services taxable in France to a non-established taxable person, so B, who are not VAT registered in France. Okay, so the company A is liable for the VAT. It will be subject to an obligation regarding the e-reporting of transaction and payment, transmission of data to tax authority, starting from September, this time 26. It must have selected a PA before this date. So here, why? Because you see, you have this e-reporting concerning this turnover. I would say this turnover, yes, to for a service, and that this concerns directly this company. All these examples have been approved, by the way, by the tax authority. They came directly from the tax authority, and so you can see sometimes the difficulty, because if you change one parameter on a business operation, you are under the obligation of e-reporting or not. Okay, so next slide, maybe.
I think we are finished.
We have finished.
Yes, no, sorry, there is this.
Okay, this slide.
This is important.
This is important. So first of all, be not afraid, because when we're speaking about penalty, everybody is white, and in fact, the tax authority explained that the aim of the reform is not to collect penalties. They really are in a mood of pedagogy and tolerance. Okay, but anyway, this has had to end. So let's say in the first weeks and months, there will be this a period of tolerance, And after, of course, you have this setup of penalties. So e-invoicing failure, you have a penalty of 50 euros per invoice, with a maximum capped at 15,000 per year. Okay. For the e-reporting failure, you have a fee of 500 euros per missing transmission. Okay. Also with a maximum capped at 15,000 per calendar year. By the way, they have upgraded these penalties, because before it was 15 euros per invoice and not 50. So you see, it's important. And the danger of repeat offenses, okay, the French government is highly strict about these errors. And if you do not resolve these errors, of course, there will be an escalated penalty. So immediate 500 flat fine for the initial unresolved failure, then 1,000, and ongoing 1,000 penalty for every additional 3 months. So it's something which is progressive. First tolerance, pedagogy, and then after penalties. Better to be informed and to know that.
Okay,
that's it, Maxime.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Lucien. So I will go on with explaining what are the challenges when you want to be compliant, to make your software or your financial software become compliant. And if you are a software provider or a system integrator, it's you can think that it's just a matter of mapping a few data and generate a factor X files and connect to the French government API. So this is, if you build a prototype like this for one single invoice, it's relatively straightforward. But if you want to build a secure infrastructure that can handle thousands of customers and millions of invoices and stay compliant across in France, but also across multiple countries, it's a completely different story. So what the first challenge for me is the focus trap. So you need to ask yourself if you want your developers to become expert in French tax laws, or do you want them to focus on what they are good at? So not taking time from your own roadmap, your own product roadmap. And this is the first question you need to ask. And then the second challenge is to maintain the compliance. So, and Lucien, I think you can confirm it, compliance, it's not a one-time project. It's, I can say, a living product. So the French tax authorities will surely update validation rules and security scheme, etc., etc. So, and France is only one country. You have the same in every country, and there are a lot of new countries coming to mandate, invoicing mandate. So you will have this for maintenance to do, and so that's the second very important challenge. And third challenge is the explosion of format and networks. We will see it in another slide, but The invoicing is very fragmented. Each country has its own format. So, for instance, we are talking about France. In France, you have 3 different formats that are required. So, Facturix, UBL, CII. In Italy, it's another one, Factura PA. In Spain, it's another one. In Germany, it's Zuckverb. So, for all countries, you have a different type of formats, even if they are close format, but you need to have a format. And also you have, we discussed about PayPal network, but you have specificities for each country. For each country, you have different networks. So it can, if you want to take care of this, without a unified layer, your system architecture can quickly become messy, let's say. So it will become unmanageable. And also, and that's, in my opinion, one of the most important is what happens when thousands of your customers onboard at the same time and process invoices simultaneously. So you have to really build a complex validation tools, and in the end, that's what we will see after. But that's what we do at Storecove. That's our job. So then another very important challenge is, of course, the time to market. Your customer maybe will ask you, are you ready for the French mandate? And if you are running late, and it can become a real problem for your customer and so for you. So there is a commercial risk, and I want to say in the invoicing, compliance is a pass or fail grade. If your software is not ready on day one, your customer will not be able to issue invoices. So they won't wait. They will switch to a competitor who is ready. And here it's a very interesting, in the end, commercial argument for you if you are ready, and not only in one country but in many countries. So all these challenges that I have listed, they are exactly what we build Storecove for. So we do not build ERP system. We do not create accounting software. We do not compete with you. So what we do is we act as an invisible infrastructure layer. So you must think of us as a kind of Stripe, but for global tax compliance. Okay. So you have one API, and with this API that you integrate in your system, you integrate it once, and with that exact same code, you unlock France today, for instance, but tomorrow, if you need Belgium, if you need also all the countries that will become, where there will be a mandate in the future, you will be, of course, we have a roadmap ourselves, and we cover more than 32 countries today, but we add countries to our roadmap every day. So we cover most of the European countries, and but also in Asia, everywhere. I will show you a slide after with all these countries. And of course, we take care of the status of the life cycle. And in France, it's very important because we just saw it with Lucien, and some are mandatory. But we can handle this also in other countries, for all countries, even where it's not mandatory, but it can be a really good add-on for your customer. It's to be able to see if your invoice has been rejected or paid, etc. It's a very good insight for your customer, and it's also a commercial argument. And then Lucien discussed about the archiving. It's an option at Storecove, but of course we can handle that for you if you want. So here some of the countries that we cover. So if today you need to integrate in your financial system Storecove for France, okay, you have an immediate need for France, but then you are also compliant for Germany, for Belgium, for all this country listed here. And that's a very interesting point for you, but also if you have our multi-tenant solution for all your customer, meaning that yourself, you can operate in all these countries, but also your customer will be able. So without new development. So that's here it's e-reporting that we cover in all these countries. And yes, as also using the Storecove solution allows you to go live very fast, because the integration, what we need for an integration, I didn't mention that, but we need just raw data from you, so data set in JSON, and we take care of transforming this data set into the right format, so FactoryX, UBL, etc., and to transmit it, to route it to the right platform through the right network. So this takes mostly 1 to 5 weeks to integrate Storecove. So this is quite fast. Of course, we can do it for sending, for receiving. We take care of the e-reporting as well. And okay, I like these slides here to better understand how the situation can be. As we mentioned, the e-invoicing setup globally is very fragmented with all these different formats and network. And so in the end, with one integration, you would take care of it for all the countries. So what is interesting to know is that this architecture is entirely white label and invisible to your end user. So for the user experience, it's very interesting in your software. So when a user click, for instance, send invoice in your platform, your system pass the raw transaction to us, to our API, and we instantly validate the data to prevent fines, and we package it into a compliant French tag or German or Belgian tag file. And we route it to the buyer and to the governmental platform. So in the end, using our API is outsourcing this compliance burden and to a global infrastructure provider like Storecove. So in the end, you protect your development roadmap, you save your budget, and you turn a complex compliance hurdle into a competitive edge. So now we have 2 minutes, sorry, and we will take some questions. Let's see. Okay. Maybe Lucien here, I see, if you see, can you explain? So Patel is asking, can you explain the delivery address country code further? Can we use just the SIRET number to find the customer in the directory? What if they have more than one SIRET? I think you explained it a bit, yes. Lucien, but...
Yes, in fact, that is a question concerning the French directory. I saw that first, the French directory is not the people directory, okay? So the French directory, we have no ongoing harmonization between the two directories. But what you have to understand is that each company has to explain where they want to receive their invoice. Okay, so a company which has several serial numbers, because they have several, for example, establishments, they can choose to receive the invoice on the CRN number, the headquarter, for example, or they can also say, no, I want to receive all the invoices on this CRN, of course, and a suffix this CRET, because this establishment will be liable for my group, my company, to register to deal with the invoices. We have even the possibility to go inside the CRN on what we call a directory code, which we call code routage. So to make it easy, that is it. So you can even choose also sometimes more than one address, but it's not a good idea at the beginning. Better to choose one. It's a recommendation also of the FNFE, a good practice recommendation. Okay.
Okay.
I see also a question. Another one is more a question for Storecove. It's what functionally cannot be tested in the sandbox environment and will.
Yes.
Yeah. So because the sandbox is one of the big asset of Storecove, and you can really test a lot of things. So what functionality cannot be tested in the sandbox? I don't know.
So this is more a question for our support team, but there is, of course, I didn't mention the sandbox. So if you want to test our API, you just contact me, and we will open you a sandbox for test. It's free.
So the
no
best
engagement.
Test the
so you to test.
sandbox.
The pilot phase is a different thing. It's a real environment. It's put in place by the French government, and so you can, before the September deadline, you can test the solution, the ecosystem, but with real customer and real data, real invoices. So you need to make sure. For instance, if you are a software solution, that your customer are okay to be part of the test, but then this we will you can contact me, and I will open you a sandbox. Okay.
Yes, it's why I picked up this question, because
that was a very good question.
A huge and a wonderful thing from Stockholm. Okay. I see also a small question. The second one is e-reporting. Okay, the same as SAFTI. No, it's not the same. No, if you want the SAFTI, is what we call in France. By the way, the French SAFTI is the FEC, Fichier des Écritures Comptables. That is something which exists since a long time, and which is also mandatory. It means when you have, you can be duty to deliver to the tax authority a FEC, a SAFTI, if you want, especially if you have a permanent establishment. You are on the corporate side concept. You have to deliver that SAFTI to that FEC to the DGFIP, to the tax authority. So it's not an e-reporting; it's something different. What you have to know when we speak about foreign companies which have not a permanent establishment on the VAT concept, they have to deliver. The tax authority can ask them to deliver a special FEC, a special SAFTI, which is in fact a shorter. You have not 24 or 18 data. You have something like eight fields to fulfill. Okay, but it's an interesting question.
Okay, maybe let's pick up a last question, because we already exceeded by 5 minutes our time. So
last question.
Okay, last question.
Integrate
is the siren number maybe this one? Is the siren number the same as their people registration or chamber of commerce? No.
No, you have not the same system of numbers. As we told in the there is a special slide, you see, where we say that it's a French specificity. Siren number is an ID for French companies. Okay, it works only in France. Okay,
Okay.
and the same for Sirit. Okay.
So maybe Lucien, a last one that you want to pick up.
I don't know. Here, the last question I see is integrate once and use one interface connection or many times.
So just I see one. When will the Storecove solution for France be available? It is already available.
It is already. Yeah, this is important. Yeah, this is important to say that it's already available.
Is there a grace period on initial September 2026 timeframe? Let's finish with that. There is no grace period.
There is no grace period.
But Lucien,
there is they will be tolerant if there are errors, and then they will ask each company to resolve that rapidly. If they do that, it's good. If they don't resolve the errors, they are under the penalties that we have explained.
Okay, perfect. So thanks a lot, Lucien. And
thank you, Maxime.
Just as a conclusion, if you need an expert consultant, you can get in touch with Lucien. And if you want to open a sandbox to test our solution, you can contact me. And so thank you, everyone, and see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.